Attorney General Pam Bondi faced a blistering round of questioning today on Capitol Hill over whether she's turned the Justice Department into a political weapon, protecting Donald Trump while targeting his critics, something evidenced by this Truth Social post that Trump posted a couple of weeks ago, which said, literally, Pam, I have reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially same old story as last time, all talk, no action. Nothing's being done. What about Comey, Adam Schiff, and Letitia? I mean, kind of evidence that of the former. But today, during a tense Senate hearing, Bondi sparred with Democrats who accused her of shielding Trump allies and stonewalling investigations from the Jeffrey Epstein probe to alleged bribery by Trump board czar Tom Homan that we've talked about on the show, and even U.S. military strikes in Venezuela, of course, over their oil. Here is, her defense, as she said, was that she was restoring fairness to a justice system she says was politicized long before she got there. But things got heated when Congressman Adam Schiff pressed her about a secret Department of Justice recording and her refusal to turn it over to the committee.
You were asked by my colleague from Vermont whether you will support providing a video or audio tape, if it exists, of Mr. Homan taking $50,000 in bribe money from the FBI. Will you support a request by this committee to provide that tape or tapes to the committee? Yes or no?
Senator Schiff, you can talk to Director Patel about that.
Well, I'm talking to you about it. You're the Attorney General. This will be your decision. Will you support?
You don't have to tell me what is my decision and what is not my decision. I said you can talk to Director Patel.
You don't have to try to.
You think you've got a gotcha with Tom Homan, our border czar, who's been out there fighting for our country since Donald Trump took office.
I'm trying to ask you a question. Regular order, please. And you don't have to defer to the FBI director to pass the buck. So I'm asking you, will you support a request so that the committee, or indeed, I believe the American people, should be able to see that video or audio tape? Will you support that request?
Will you apologize to Donald Trump for trying to impeach
the answer is you won't support that request.
After you now know that Joe Biden tried to cover up Hunter Biden's involvement with Ukraine.
Jesus. Dex. He's a nasty one, ain't he?
Wait, so the answer is no. Like he actually some bullshit.
Did we get an answer though? Because that tone carried throughout the hearing. Bondi refused to answer questions on nearly every major investigation she was asked about, something that Schiff decided to chronicle in the middle of her hearing.
You were asked whether you consulted with career ethics lawyers, as you promised you would do during your nomination hearing, when you approved the president receiving a $400 million gift from the Qataris. You refused to answer that question. You were asked who or what role you may have played, or who played the role in asking that Trump's name be flagged in any of the Epstein documents gathered by the FBI. You refused to answer that question. You were asked whether Homan kept the $50,000 bribe money. You refused to answer that question. You were asked whether Homan paid taxes on the $50,000 bribe money. You refused to answer that question. You were asked, did career prosecutors find insufficient evidence to charge James Comey? You refused to answer that question. You were asked, how are military strikes on these boats in the Caribbean legal? And you refused to even answer that question. You were asked, excuse me. You were asked, did you discuss indicting James Comey with the president? You refused to answer that question. You were asked, did you approve the firing of antitrust lawyers who disagreed with the Hewlett-Packard merger? You refused to answer that question. You were asked whether you support a restoration fund for violent insurrections to attack the Capitol on January 6th. You refused to answer that question. You were asked whether you were firing career professionals, career prosecutors, just because they worked on January 6th January 6th investigations. You refused to answer that question. You were asked by my California colleague whether you believe government officials, like immigration officials, have to abide by court orders. You wouldn't even answer that question. This is supposed to be an oversight hearing.
I mean, yeah.
Wow. Cool.
And here was one of the more notable deflections where she actually went speechless when she was asked a question point blank by another senator. And it's funny, the senator's name is Senator Whitehouse, which is hilarious to me.
Let me ask you something else. There's been public reporting that Jeffrey Epstein showed people photos of President Trump with half-naked young women. Do you know if the FBI found those photographs in their search of Jeffrey Epstein's safe or premises or otherwise? Have you seen any such thing?
You know, Senator Whitehouse, you sit here and make salacious remarks, once again trying to slander President Trump left and right, when you're the one who was taking money from one of Epstein's closest confidants, I believe, I could be wrong, correct me, Reid Hoffman, who was with Jeffrey Epstein on multiple occasions. And the senator sitting right next to you tried to block the flight logs from being released. Yet you're grilling me on President Trump and some photograph with Epstein? Come on.
The question is, did the FBI find those photographs that have been discussed publicly by a witness who claimed Jeffrey Epstein showed them to him? You don't know anything about that. Okay.
I mean,
Man.
No words whatsoever.
The face she made is the face I made the entire time she was like being
Yeah.
like, I'm befuddled.
The one thing that you have to give the Trump administration, they are the masters of deflection, brother.
She had them talking points ready, didn't she?
Right, didn't she? They are the masters of deflection. They are the masters of that.
So I guess the question is Pam Bondi protecting Donald Trump or just protecting her job? And if her job is to protect him, how good of a job do you think she really did today by not answering anything?
It's odd because I think she did a terrible job just by looking at what I'm looking at. Like you didn't answer any questions. Like you were very defensive and like you didn't accomplish anything. However, like you didn't say anything wrong either. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like one of those things where it's just like, I guess like she did okay, but like we didn't get anything out of this. Like I feel like there should have been some conversation and it wasn't. But at the same time, you didn't incriminate yourself or him. So I guess we got to say you did good.
According to the Trump administration, she did a great job. She did a great job. She didn't answer no questions. She didn't answer anything wrong. She didn't have to plead the fifth, nothing. She just did a great job of not answering anything. So it was a win-win for her today.
She had the whole chain of command in her favor in this respect, right? Because she could always say, oh, it's the FBI director, or saying it's not me, it's the FBI, and they're like, well, you're over the FBI, like what are you talking about? And she's like, well, I don't know.
Within this administration though, she could really pass the buck to anybody, and you kind of be like, you're kind of like, well, I guess, yeah, sure, you could answer this question, but yeah, there is another person that's incriminated in this. But I think there's some questions like, did he pay taxes on the money? Can you show us that he received, like, did this happen or did this not happen?
Yeah, because if they pay taxes on the money, he's going to have to admit that he has the money, right? So
the first question was, is there a video or audio that exists of him taking this bribe money?
Right.
Yes or no?
Right.
I don't understand how we didn't get a yes or no out of that.
Yeah, she went right back to attacking. You're going to attack them. She talks about you're in a border state. How dare you? Like,
it just doesn't make any sense to me. And we're as the American people who are seeing this stuff, we're supposed to be okay with this.
She did answer the question. She just changed the subject. She was just like, I'm just gonna straight up change the subject. I'm not. That's my answer.